We recently had a couple of friends stop by for a visit. Bob and Maria. We've known them for most of our married life. Maria used to work with my wife, Trina, at a large, well-known travel agency. The company has offices in several states. Bob works as a supervisor in a local factory. I'm an electrician, and I've been working at one of the nearby plants since I returned from the service, about 8 years ago. That evening, the four of us sat down to watch an old movie called Same Time, Next Year. It was about a man and a woman who'd been lovers for many years. Both were married, but not to each other. Every year, they met secretly for 1 week, continuing their affair while pretending to live normal lives with their families. By the end of the movie, both of our wives were in tears. "What nonsense," I said. "They're both cheating on their families and you think it's sad?" "They should be caught in the arms of their lovers and shot," Trina glared at me. Maria frowned. "Andy, how can you say that?" They were true lovers. They only met once a year. It was romantic. Romantic? I laughed. "So you're saying I can have sex with my ex-girlfriend once a year, as long as Trina doesn't find out?" Trina's face went red with anger. "You bastard! This isn't about you and Melissa. It's about people who are truly in love. You'll never understand that." Bob quickly raised his hands. "Time out! It's just a damn movie. No need to fight over it." But I wasn't done. "Okay, Bob," I said. "Let's say this woman was your wife. Would you be okay with her having an affair once a year? If I caught Trina doing that," I continued, "I'd throw her out on her ass. And Trina, don't drag Melissa into this just because she was my ex before I met you." "Hell, I've never said a word about you and your old boyfriend, Zach." Maria sighed. "Look, this is getting out of hand. Let's just stop talking about the movie." But I wasn't ready to drop it. "No, Maria, I want to know." "Bob, what would you do if Maria wanted to do what that woman in the movie did?" Bob looked uncomfortable. "Look, Andy, Maria would never do that." "I'm not answering questions based on stupid assumptions. Maria's too good a person to betray our marriage like that." I glanced at the two women. For just a second, something flashed between them, a look I couldn't quite read. But a chill ran down my spine. Maria got up, sat on Bob's lap, and kissed him. Everything looked fine on the surface. But Trina didn't smile. She stood up quietly and asked if anyone wanted another drink. I turned off the movie, and we all went to the kitchen to play cards. Still, the scene kept echoing in my mind. Tone shift. Reflective. Slower. I've always thought of myself as a simple man. I went to high school, fell in love, enlisted in the Army, served my time, came home, and built a life. When I graduated, I enlisted right away. 3 years, 2 of them overseas. Before I left, I went to prom with my girlfriend, Melissa. I thought she was the love of my life. She was my first love, and the first woman I ever made love to. I truly believed we'd be together forever. The last time we made love was a week before I left for duty. She didn't come to see me off because her parents had other plans. Her mother insisted she attend another dance with a guy named Eric, a college student. I didn't like it, but she promised me she wouldn't even kiss him. 4 months later, while I was overseas, I received a letter from my sister, Jen. Melissa was pregnant. My hands shook as I read that letter. Melissa had been writing to me faithfully, but she'd never mentioned it. She must have known, and if Jen knew, then it was true. The only answer that made sense was that Eric had gotten her pregnant. I was furious. I wrote Melissa a letter filled with every curse I could think of. I told her I was done, that I'd never forgive her, and that I hoped she and her illegitimate child would have a good life with Eric. When her reply came, I didn't even read it. I tore it to pieces and threw it in the trash. Tone emotional, bitterness and pain. Years passed. I came home from the war with scars no one could see. I'd seen things, done things that changed me. I didn't care if I lived or died back then. I was just another stupid soldier who'd lost everything that mattered to him. But fate had other plans. I made it home alive. My hometown threw a party in my honor. I saw her there. Melissa. She was standing with a baby stroller and a man beside her. She turned her head and walked away. No words, no smile. Just silence. It hurt more than any bullet ever could. That night, I met an old classmate, Trina. She'd been one of the prettiest girls in our school, once dating Zach Carter, the star quarterback. We danced, laughed, and talked about the old days. Both of us had been dumped. Both of us were trying to heal. Soon we started dating. 6 months later, we got married. I found work at a local factory and started my apprenticeship as an electrician. Life felt normal, peaceful. Trina and I actually got along well. We shared interests, had fun, and yes, the sex was amazing. Sometimes I wondered where she'd learned so much. She just laughed and said, "Women's magazines, honey." Maybe that was true. Maybe not. But we were happy, at least for a while. Tone, suspense builds. One day, Trina asked me about a work trip. "Andy," she said, "our travel agency holds a convention every 2 years. This time it's in Florida. Spouses can come too. Do you want to go?" I shook my head. "Honey, I don't want to waste a week of vacation sitting in meetings." "Can't one of your coworkers go?" Maria quickly spoke up. "I'll go." "Bob never wants to." Trina smiled. Then it settled. I didn't think much of it. When she came back from that Florida trip, we made love like newlyweds. It was passionate, wild, like we'd rediscovered each other. A few weeks later, Trina told me she was pregnant. Our baby girl, Renee, was born on Valentine's Day. The best gift I could have ever asked for. Life was good again. I had to choose whether or not to tell you. Of course, Eric said that if I told you Andrea was your child, we couldn't stay married anymore. His family and friends would find out the truth, and he couldn't live with that. But I had no choice. My child's life was at stake, and she comes first in my life. "Will you take the test to see if you can be a donor?" Melissa asked, her voice trembling. Tears of hope filled her eyes. This was no small decision. My marriage was probably on the line, too. I didn't know how Trina would react when she found out I was giving part of my liver to Melissa's baby. But I knew I had to do the right thing. No matter the circumstances, no matter the outcome. Mel. "Of course I'll take the test to save Andrea's life," I said. "Tell the doctor to make an appointment for me and I'll be there." All three of us had tears in our eyes. Mel came over and hugged me tightly. She whispered, "I love you so much." "Always have, and always will." She immediately picked up the phone and called the hospital to schedule my checkup. They booked me for Monday. That gave me a day or two to break the news to Trina. I really was between a hammer and an anvil. I believed Mel when she said Andrea was my daughter. When I took the test, I'd know for sure. She had nothing to gain and everything to lose by lying to me. I hugged Jen and Mel goodbye, then headed home, completely torn inside. Learning that Andrea was my daughter threw my world into chaos. I had a child, 10 years old, that I had never met. The woman I had always loved was suddenly back in my life, and the wife I had now despised my ex-girlfriend. I had 3 other children at home. If I hadn't been so young, I probably would have had a heart attack from the stress. That evening, I was playing with the kids when Trina came home. It was hard to tell what mood she was in. It changed so often. I decided to wait a little while before talking to her. I knew she was about to burst into tears, and I didn't want the kids to see that. They'd already seen us fight too many times. On Sunday, I took the kids to my mom's house. I told Trina I'd be back in a few minutes, that I had something important to discuss with her. When I returned, she was already on edge. "What's so damn important we can't talk about it in front of the kids?" Trina asked. "I talked to Melissa yesterday," I said calmly. "And you and I have a lot to discuss," Trina interrupted immediately. "What? You went to see her? Why?" "She's missing her home and wants you to help her now." "That's enough, Trina," I said firmly. "This is serious. Mel's daughter has jaundice and needs a liver transplant, or she's going to die." "What does that have to do with us?" She shot back. "I feel sorry for the girl, but there's nothing we can do." "Why would she even tell you about this?" Trina's tone softened slightly. But I could tell she was mostly wondering why Mel had reached out to me. "Mel said the girl needs part of an adult's liver to survive," I explained. "The closest matches are from family members." Trina's face twisted in anger. "Don't tell me she's claiming you're the baby's father." "Do you actually believe her?" I looked her in the eyes. "Yeah, she called to tell me I'm the father of that little girl. Honestly, Trina, I didn't know until now. But the little girl needs a transplant, and I'm going to see if I can help her. I have an appointment tomorrow. Trina's voice rose. What about our family? Have you thought about us? What if something goes wrong? What if you need time to recover? Have you thought about your kids? She looked more angry than concerned. And she had every right to be angry. This was a lot to take in. But Andrea's life was hanging by a thread. Trina, I said quietly, the realization that I can save a little girl's life, and that she could very well be my daughter, leaves me no choice. I have to do it no matter what you say. Her face twisted with fury. You bastard! You're putting your ex-girlfriend and her daughter before your own family. You're a poor excuse for a man and a father? I took a deep breath. I'm going to pretend you said that out of anger. If our children needed a transplant, I'd support them. And you know it. Tomorrow, I'll know from the test results if Mel's girl is my daughter. And if she is, I'll do everything I can to save her. I'll also be part of her life, whether you like it or not. For your information, Andrew, she spat, I'm against it. You may love her, but she's not related to me, and I don't care what happens to her. I have children of my own to worry about. If she survives, I don't want her in my house. I shook my head. I can't believe what I'm hearing. She crossed her arms. Are you worried about the girl? Or her mother? You never got over her, did you? You're pathetic, Andrew. Go give your liver to your ex's daughter. Maybe she'll take you back after I kick you out. She stormed off, shouting, I'll be watching you. Don't take me for a fool. I picked up the kids and took them home. Trina barely spoke to me that night. I knew life was about to become hell. When I arrived at the hospital, they checked me in and ran tests. After an hour, I went to see Andrea. She was so small, too small for a 10-year-old. Her illness had stunted her growth, but she was beautiful, like her mother. As I walked into the room, Mel turned around and smiled. Thank you for coming, she said softly. Andrea looked up at me and asked, Are you my guardian angel? Mom said he'd come today to help me get better. Is that you? I smiled and knelt beside her. I'm not exactly an angel, sweetheart, but I'm here to help you if I can. You're Andy, right? She said. Mom told me I was named after you. I have to tell you something. Mom and I have secrets. When I get better, I'll share them with you. Mom said it's okay. She giggled weakly. This disease may make me look young, but I'm 10 and I'm pretty smart. I chuckled. Do you have other children? She asked. Her tone made me wonder, did she already know the truth? Yes, honey, I said. I have 3 children at home, all younger than you. When you get well, I'll bring them to meet you. Her face lit up. That would be great. I don't have any brothers or sisters. Maybe I could borrow yours. Mel smiled from behind her. Close your eyes and rest, sweetheart. You need your strength. I'll keep Andy company. Andrea smiled and drifted off to sleep. I turned to Mel. Does she really know who I am? Mel smiled faintly. She and I have secrets, just like she told you. She'll tell you everything when she's ready. Until then, you'll just have to guess. We met with the doctor. Mr. Connors, he said, you're a great match for Andrea. The perfect match would have been a child, but we can take a portion of your liver and implant it in her. Doctor, I said, she's my daughter. I know that now. Please call her my daughter. The doctor smiled. Well, Mr. Connors, your daughter has a real chance at a full recovery. It'll take a couple of months for her body to adjust, but she's young and strong. What about me, Doc? What will I go through? You'll be under anesthesia, he explained. When you wake up, it'll feel like you were run over by a truck. You'll need bed rest for about a month and at least 6 weeks before returning to work. Your liver will regenerate within a year. I nodded. You're not kidding, are you? He smiled. No, sir. You wanted the truth, and that's the truth. Your daughter is very lucky to have you. Honestly, I don't think she could have lived another month. My chest tightened. You mean, we need to operate right away? Yes, he said. Tomorrow morning, if possible. Tomorrow? I said, surprised. Can we make it Wednesday? I need to handle some work arrangements and file sick leave. Wednesday works, he replied. My secretary will prepare your paperwork. See you then, Mr. Connors. Just call me Andy, Doc. Mel held my hand as we walked back to Andrea's room. Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they were tears of joy. I don't know what to say, Andy, she whispered. You're putting your life on hold for months. For my daughter, I smiled gently. For our daughter, Mel, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't help her. As for us, I don't know what the future holds. I'm married and I won't cheat on my wife. But I've always loved you, and I always will. I want to stay friends, and I want Andrea in my life. I leaned down, kissed Andrea's forehead, and whispered, "Sleep well, my beautiful girl. Daddy loves you." Tears filled my eyes as I left the hospital that night. "Take care of my family," I said softly. "Don't worry about me. Computers have always been my first love, and I'll be in Silicon Valley soon. Thanks again, old boy, for giving Andrea another chance at life. You're a good person." Eric looked at me quietly. His eyes showed a mix of sadness and understanding. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I really don't know what to say." "What about Andrea? She's going to miss you. You're the only father she's ever known." I sighed. "I know. Our relationship with Mel was built on respect. From the very beginning, we decided my name wouldn't be on the birth certificate. Under my father's name, she put yours and said you were overseas, so your signature wasn't needed." Eric nodded slowly. "I know Mel and Andrea have been communicating," I continued. "They have their secrets. I think Andrea knows about you and Mel. I'm sure she'll miss me as much as I'll miss her. That's why she needs you in her life. She needs a father figure. And why shouldn't that be her real father?" Eric didn't say another word. He just looked at me, his expression full of gratitude and sorrow. "Thank you again," he whispered. "Take care of them. They'll need you." Before I could reply, he turned and walked toward the door. I lay there in silence, thinking about how complicated my life had become. At home, I had a loving wife, a good marriage, and 3 wonderful children. On the other side, there was an ex-girlfriend, and a daughter I had just donated a kidney to. God, what a mess my life had turned into. Recovery soon, I was allowed to go home. The doctors told me not to lift anything heavier than 5 pounds. My girls understood, but little Andy didn't. He was too young to know better and always wanted to be held in my arms. Luckily, he was content to climb up next to me on the bed or couch and just sit there quietly. My daughters became like 2 little mommies following me everywhere. Trina left for work every morning, and when she came home, we were polite, maybe even pleasant, but distant. Jen, my sister, stopped by every day for a couple of hours to check on me. She was incredibly helpful. I also spoke to my mom every day, keeping her updated on my condition. She'd take the kids for a day or 2 so I could rest. I was recovering well, but I didn't want to push myself too hard. During that first week home, I didn't call Mel directly. Jen handled all communication, stopping by the hospital or calling Mel to ask how Andrea was doing. Andrea was still in the hospital but recovering fast. The doctor was surprised at how well she was doing. Her skin color had returned, she was gaining weight, and he was optimistic. After Andrea was sent home to recuperate, my girls wanted to meet her. I wasn't cleared to drive yet, so Jen offered to take us. We all got into the van, me, Jen, and the kids, and drove to Mel's house. Meeting Andrea Mel's home was beautiful, warm, spotless, and tastefully decorated. I reminded the children that Andrea was still recovering and needed quiet. Mel smiled when she saw my girls. "Hi, I'm Mel," she said kindly. "You can call me that." She led them down the hall to Andrea's room, where Andrea was sitting up on her bed with a smile that could light up a room. Her complexion was clear and radiant, nothing like the pale, jaundiced girl I had seen in the hospital. "Hi," Andrea said cheerfully. "I'm your big sister. Well, big sister anyway." She laughed softly, glancing at Renee, who was almost as tall as she was. "Don't I have a little brother, too?" Andrea asked curiously. Jen walked in, holding Andy in her arms. "You mean this little guy?" she said with a smile. Andrea's eyes lit up. "Hi, my sweet brother from another mom. I'm your big sister, Andrea." Andy smiled and reached for her. Jen gently placed him on the bed, and he crawled right up to Andrea, settling beside her. Tears filled my eyes as I watched them. I wasn't alone. Mel and Jen were smiling too, eyes glistening. At that moment, I knew Andrea had been told the truth, that I was her biological father. We spent the next couple of hours letting the kids play and talk. When it was time to go, they protested, saying they didn't want to leave. I promised they'd see Andrea again soon, and that seemed to calm them down. But as we drove home, I felt uneasy. I knew Trina wouldn't take the news well. The confrontation that evening, Trina came home from work. Before I could say a word, the girls ran up to her, excited. Mom, we met our big sister today. The color drained from Trina's face. She froze, staring at me. I could almost hear the ticking clock fill the silence. At least she waited until the kids went to bed before exploding. Then the yelling began. How could you do this, Andy? You went to her house after everything? Trina, I said calmly. Nothing happened. Jen was with me the whole time. Oh, right, she snapped. And Jen's just covering for you, isn't she? Lying for her brother again. My God, Trina, I said, exasperated. Why can't you believe that we're just friends? I've never cheated on you and I never will. My family means everything to me. And Jen, she wouldn't lie for me. She'd be the first to call me out if I ever did something wrong. Sure, Andy. Keep telling yourself that, she hissed. I sighed deeply. The kids wanted to meet their sister. They had a great time. Why can't that just be a good thing? Not everything is about betrayal. But Trina wouldn't listen. She yelled some more, and eventually we went to bed in silence. I tried to lie close to her, but she turned away. The quiet before the storm. Over time, things settled slightly. My recovery was almost complete, and the doctor said I could return to work in a month. Trina reminded me she had a business trip to Chicago coming up, a full week away. I didn't think much of it. I'd stay home with the kids, and Jen or Mom could help if needed. One evening, our friends Bob and Maria came over for dinner and a movie. The girls picked same time next year. It was an odd choice, given the film's theme of secret lovers meeting once a year, but I didn't think much of it then. Looking back, I should have. During the night, I noticed something strange. When Maria and Mel saw each other earlier that week, their glances lingered longer than usual. And when Trina whispered something to Maria before they left, I knew something wasn't right. Things hadn't been good between Trina and me since the surgery. We hadn't been intimate in a long time. That night, I decided to try again. At first, she pushed my hand away. Then, after a moment, she sighed and said softly, "Are you ready?" "You're going away for a week," I replied. "I don't want to wait for you to come back." That night, for the first time in months, we made love. But as always, her tenderness existed only in those moments. By morning, she was distant again. When she left for work, I stayed behind to tidy up. While putting her clothes away, I found a small package of birth control pills on the dresser. Birth control, but why? I'd had a vasectomy over a year ago. Part 2 continues with the discovery and the doubt. Would you like me to continue right now with Part 2, the confrontation about the pills, the growing suspicion, and the beginning of the affair revelation? You said, combine both parts. ChatGPT said, absolutely. I can combine all 3 parts, your entire story, into one continuous, polished YouTube-ready script in a calm audiobook narration style with proper punctuation, smooth paragraph breaks, and natural emotional flow. However, because the rewritten version will be around 7,000 to 8,000 words, it exceeds the single message limit here. If I paste it all at once, it'll be cut off midway. Here's how I can handle it cleanly for you. I'll create one continuous full script. No Part 1, Part 2 breaks. I'll post it to you here in 3 consecutive messages, each seamlessly continuing from the previous one, formatted as one single story, not split narratively. At the end, I'll mark where the story concludes with a clear end. That way, when you copy it into your YouTube script or video editor, it will flow perfectly as one continuous narration. Would you like me to start posting the full combined version right now in that format, starting with the calm audiobook introduction? You said, "Okay, ChatGPT said perfect." Let's begin the full, combined, YouTube-ready voiceover script written in a calm, emotional audiobook style with smooth narration flow, proper punctuation, and natural dialogue pacing. Here we go. Full YouTube voiceover script. Take care of my family, I said softly. Don't worry about me. Computers have always been my first love, and I'll be in Silicon Valley soon. Thanks again, old boy, for giving Andrea another chance at life. You're a good person. Eric looked at me quietly. His eyes showed a mix of sadness and understanding. I'm so sorry, he said. I really don't know what to say. What about Andrea? She's going to miss you. You're the only father she's ever known. I sighed. I know. Our relationship with Mel was built on respect. From the very beginning, we decided my name wouldn't be on the birth certificate. Under my father's name, she put yours, and said you were overseas, so your signature wasn't needed. Eric nodded slowly. I know Mel and Andrea have been communicating, I continued. They have their secrets. I think Andrea knows about you and Mel. I'm sure she'll miss me as much as I'll miss her. That's why she needs you in her life. She needs a father figure. And why shouldn't that be her real father? Eric didn't say another word. He just looked at me, his expression full of gratitude and sorrow. Thank you again, he whispered. Take care of them. They'll need you. Before I could reply, he turned and walked toward the door. I lay there in silence, thinking about how complicated my life had become. At home, I had a loving wife, a good marriage, and 3 wonder. It was late, and I'd finally managed to put my 3 kids to bed. I kissed and hugged each of them, wondering if they were even mine. I sank onto the couch, exhausted, thinking about everything that had happened. The silence in the house was heavy. I wanted a drink so badly, just one. But after my liver surgery, I wasn't allowed to touch alcohol for at least a year. Then, around midnight, a sudden knock startled me. At first, I ignored it. But the knocking came again, firm and deliberate. I stood, walked to the door, and peered outside. A police officer stood on the porch, his hat slightly tilted under the porch light. I opened the door slowly. Mr. Andrew Connor? He asked. Trina Connor's husband? Yes, officer. That's me. What's going on? He took a deep breath. I regret to inform you, sir, that your wife was killed in an automobile accident in rural Illinois. The Illinois Highway Patrol asked us to deliver the news personally. I froze. My mind went blank. One moment I had hated her for everything she'd done. And now she was dead. It didn't feel real. I wanted to wake up, to find out it was all just some horrible dream. But I wasn't dreaming. What happened? I asked, my voice trembling. Are you sure it was her? Maybe there's been a mistake? I'm sorry, Mr. Connor, the officer said gently. There's no mistake. The report says it was a single-car accident. The vehicle went off the road, over an embankment, and hit a tree. Both passengers died on the spot. Both? I repeated. Who was with her? He hesitated. A man named Zach Carter. Do you know him? My chest tightened. Zach. I thought maybe it had been Trina and her friend Maria coming home early. But it wasn't. Even after talking to me earlier that day, she'd still spent the evening with Zach. I nodded weakly. Yes, he's from her company's Chicago office. I haven't seen him in years. The officer gave a sympathetic nod. The accident happened around 7 p.m. It took us some time to gather the details and contact you. I'm very sorry for your loss, sir. If you reach out to the Chicago Sheriff's Department in the morning, they can give you more information. He paused, looking at me carefully. Good night, Mr. Connor. Thank you, officer, I murmured, closing the door behind him. As soon as he left, the house felt even quieter than before. I sat down again, staring into nothing. I felt numb, hate, love, loss, disgust, and fear. Fear of what to do next. I had 3 little kids sleeping peacefully upstairs. And tomorrow, I'd have to tell them their mother was gone. I didn't sleep at all that night. I couldn't. I just sat there, watching the minutes crawl by. By morning, I must have dozed off because the phone ringing jolted me awake. I looked at the caller ID. It said, personal call. Hello? I answered groggily. Mr. Andrew Connors? A male voice asked. Yes, that's me. Who's calling? One moment, sir. Then I heard a familiar female voice. Mr. Connors, this is Senator Janice Conroy. Under the circumstances, please. Just call me Janice. I sat up straight. Yes, Senator. I heard about the accident. I'm very sorry for your loss, she said. But I need to ask you for a favor. A favor? I asked quietly. Your husband died too. I can't imagine what either of us is feeling right now. Yes, she replied, her voice steady but tired. But this is about the aftermath. I need you to please not mention the affair between my husband and your wife. It will destroy my political career. I know it's selfish to ask, but I'm begging you. I sighed. So you want me to lie? To say it never happened? No, she said quickly. Just don't talk about it publicly. Don't confirm it if the press asks. I can handle the rest quietly. I rubbed my forehead. Mrs. Conroy, I don't want the press involved in my life anyway. But I'll agree on two conditions. There was a pause. What are they? First, I said, I want the real report of that accident, the one that high-ranking people are keeping off the record. Second, I want a copy of Zach's DNA. You know why. She hesitated. I'll do my best. You'll have it shortly after the funeral. Please, don't take me for someone heartless. I just need to know the truth, too. I always keep my word, Janice, I said quietly. Good, she replied. Then I'll get you what you want. And thank you. The line went dead. I stood in silence for a moment, then made myself a pot of coffee. It was early, but I needed to keep busy. I called my sister Jen and told her about the accident. She was shocked, but said she'd come right over. Then I called my parents. They were always up early. I told them too. Next came the hardest call, Trina's parents. Her father picked up. I told him what had happened, as calmly as I could, explaining that Trina and Zach had gone out to dinner and were driving back when the accident occurred. He was heartbroken, but thanked me for calling. After hanging up, I sat in silence again, breaking the news to my children. A few hours later, the kids came downstairs. I made them breakfast, though none of us ate much. When Jen arrived, we sat the kids down in the living room. I took a deep breath. Renee, Ashley, I said gently, you're going to have to be very brave. Mommy's gone. She's not coming home. They stared at me confused. Then, as the words sank in, tears filled their eyes. Little Andy saw his sisters crying and started to cry too. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to watch. I hugged them tight, letting them sob into my chest. I tried to stay strong, but I broke down too. Jen held Andy while I held the girls. We did our best to answer their questions that had no good answers. Then there was another knock on the door. Jen called out, "Come in." It was Mel and her daughter, Andrea. Both were crying. "I'm so sorry to hear what happened," Mel said softly. Ashley ran straight to her and climbed into her lap. Mel gently rocked her back and forth, whispering comfort. Andrea sat beside her mother, eyes full of tears. "How did you know?" I asked quietly. Jen spoke up. "I called her after you called me." "I hope you don't mind." "Of course not," I said. "I was just surprised." When the kids had calmed down, Andrea offered to take them to their rooms and play some games. It was a blessing, because just a few minutes later, the phone started ringing again. "Janice, this may be the last time I see you. Can you tell me about you and Zach, and why you let it go on after you found out?" "I think so," she said softly. "You deserve to know." She took a deep breath. "I met Zach when he was still in college. He was a tough, gruff guy. I was asked to teach a political science class, and that's where it all began. We became friends. As you can see, I'm 25 years older than Zach. At first, it was fun being with a younger man, teaching him about life and love. I know you've heard of trophy wives. Well, Zach was my trophy husband. I had this handsome, charming man by my side at every party. At first, Zach enjoyed the attention, but when he realized it was all about me, not him, he became uncomfortable. He asked me to buy him a travel agency, so I did. I owned it, but he ran it. He even took courses in the travel industry because he wanted something to specialize in. You asked why he didn't just divorce me and move on with his life. The answer is simple: money and power. I had both. He had neither. I gave him everything he wanted, within reason. But nothing was ever in his name. Not the business, not the house, not even the car he wrecked. If he ever left me, he'd have nothing. People get used to a certain life, Andrew, and he wasn't willing to lose his. She paused, her tone turning colder. He met your wife at one of the conferences about 7 years ago. A few years later, I found out they were together. I gave him an ultimatum: stop the games, especially with a married woman, or I'll make sure you never do it again. He seemed to stop, or at least hit it well. Until I heard from you. For your information, she continued, he had other mistresses. Most could either be bought or scared off. I didn't know how to deal with your wife since he only saw her once every couple of years. I swallowed hard. So what will the report say to me, Janice? I feel it in my bones. It wasn't fair play. Janice looked down. According to unofficial reports, Zach had his stick bitten off. The witness said a black SUV struck Zach's vehicle in the rear quarter, causing it to spin out of control. It flew over an embankment, flipped several times, and finally stopped after hitting a tree. The official report says the witness was far behind and couldn't confirm if Zach's car was actually hit by the SUV or not. I stared at her. Janice, did you kill them personally? She looked away. I didn't. There are forces above me, Andrew. I can't speak for them, and honestly, I don't want to know. I did love Zach, in my own way. He was my boy toy, fun to be around. But love was never simple for us. She stood up, adjusting her coat. Well, Andrew Connors, this may be the last time we speak. The report you have has all the names removed, just in case it falls into the wrong hands. You'll be protected. Again, I'm sorry for your loss. We'll deliver the insurance documents tomorrow. Thank you, I said quietly, for being considerate. After Janice left, I opened the envelope. The report was just as she described, redacted, but revealing enough. Trina really had been with Zach. I finally knew where she'd learned those new tricks in bed, and who she'd been thinking about when she used them. It wasn't me. The other report contained Zach's full DNA profile. Janice had kept her promise. I couldn't help but wonder. Did she have something to do with that accident? Maybe I'd better never find out. Facing the truth when everyone came back, I told the girls who my guest had been. They were shocked when I said it was Senator Conroy. I explained that we had an agreement. She'd honored her side of it. The girls wanted to read the report. Are you sure? I asked. You're curious, I get it, but what's in there? It's dark. You might not like what you read. Mel looked at me and said softly, Andy, since I care about you, I'll forget being curious. You can't go through life alone. If you ever need to talk about it, I'll be here. She smiled gently, and I could tell she meant it. Later, when they did read the report, their faces fell. They were heartbroken, just like me. Jen, my sister, spoke up. I know it's awful, Andy, but maybe Trina's death was God's providence. Imagine how much worse it would have been if it all continued, with the kids caught in the middle. She was right. She just had the courage to say it aloud. That was Jen, always honest, never afraid. After she left, I sat at my desk, staring at Zach's DNA report. Mel sat beside me. What are you going to do with that? She asked quietly. I have an appointment tomorrow at the clinic, I said, to find out if Zach is the biological father. She reached over and touched my hand. Don't do it, Andy, not for your sake, not for the kids. Don't. I have to know, Mel. I need to know. She shook her head. Why? Zach's dead. Trina's dead. Nothing good will come from that knowledge. What if the results hurt you? What if you're not their father? Are you going to give up the kids? Send them away? Raise them with anger in your heart? Her voice cracked as she continued. You're their father. You've been there since day one. Through every scraped knee, every diaper, every school project. You're the one they call Daddy, not someone else. Please, Andy, don't let that doubt poison what's left of your heart. I sighed. Okay, Mel, I'll think about it. She leaned in and kissed me lightly on the lips. It felt right. When she left with Andrea, the house felt warm for the first time in weeks, a new beginning. The next afternoon, I pulled up at Mel's house. The kids jumped out of the car, running to play. Andrea was still at school. You did it, didn't you? Mel muttered. I'm sorry, I said. You did it? She asked sharply. I promised the kids I'd take them to McDonald's for lunch, I said with a grin. She smiled. So, you didn't follow through? No, I replied. I thought about what you said. They're my kids and always will be. Mel smiled softly and came to sit on my lap. After the funeral, we'd grown closer than ever. You'll grieve for a while, she said. Then we'll start dating. You'll ask me to marry you, I'll say yes, and we'll live happily ever after, just like a fairy tale. I smiled. And what if I don't want to marry you? She laughed. Then I'll just live with you. I lost you once. I'm not losing you again. She grinned playfully. Besides, I've heard babies talk. They say they like me. And I love them, I laughed. What about sex? Are you any good? She burst out laughing. Honey, with you? It's not just going to be sex. It's going to be love. And it's going to be great. Just then, Andrea came home from school. She saw us, grinned, and shouted, Renee, Ashley! Andy! Come here, quick! You need to see this! The kids rushed in, giggling. Ashley asked, "Does this mean you're going to be our new mom?" Mel's eyes filled with tears. She got off my lap, knelt down, and hugged her. "Sweetheart, I'd love to be your mom. Your other mom will always be in your heart, and I'll be here to take care of you." Little Andy joined in for a hug. Then Renee asked, "Daddy, when are you getting married? And where are we going to live?" I chuckled. "Well, honey, first I need to ask Mel if she even wants to marry me." "Do it, Daddy. Do it now!" the kids shouted in unison. I took Mel's hand and knelt in front of her. "Mel, my children and I love you. Will you be their mom? And my wife?" Before I could finish, the kids were already chanting, "Say yes, Mommy!" Mel laughed, pretending to think. How long do I have to decide?" Andrea smirked. "Just a minute, Mom. You've wanted this your whole life." Mel smiled, eyes glistening. After careful thought, "Yes. I'll marry you, Andrew Connors." The kids jumped and cheered as I kissed her. Happily ever after the excitement. Mel told the kids, "We'll be married later, but we'll see each other every day." Later that evening, when the kids were gone, Mel looked at me with that mischievous smile. "If we're dating," she said, "does that mean we can have sex on the first date?" I laughed. "For you, honey, anytime you want." We both laughed as we kissed again. We made it through Christmas, spending more and more time together as a family. The kids were happier than ever. After the holidays, they came up with an idea. They wanted a Valentine's Day wedding party, a combined celebration for all their birthdays and our wedding. Mel tried to stay serious. "Kids, that's sweet, but asking people to bring you gifts to our wedding is a bit much." They hung their heads, embarrassed. Renee looked up. "Mom, if we don't take any presents, can we still have the party? And you and Dad get married?" Mel smiled. "All right. We'll do the party and the wedding as a family celebration." The kids cheered, hugging both of us. Epilogue, we had 6 weeks to plan everything. Mel and Jen handled most of it. They became best friends. The wedding was small, held at her church. The hall was decorated in red and white, filled with hearts and laughter. When Mel walked down the aisle in her blue dress, I couldn't hold back the tears. We'd both been through hell. But somehow, we'd found our way back to love. As we kissed and the crowd cheered, I realized this was it. This was the life I was meant to have. Our family, our peace, our home, and for the first time in years, I felt truly whole. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for the next one.